basis from many years of being decision makers in different capacities. They are not representing their organizations. What we now will do is I will give a brief overview about this project, and then I will ask the reference group members to share their views and their expectations and their contributions to the project. Well, what we try to achieve is to bring about a very strong standing up for the values of democracy and an open society. Because we're living in times which is quite depressing, we think. Because people, organizations, even regimes of Europe and other countries of the world are doubting the values that we have taken for granted for many years. The values that have been the backbone of economic prosperity, of welfare, and of democracy. I'm speaking of the values like cherishing free media and press, cherishing university and scientific-based knowledge. I'm speaking about the value of free, dynamic cultural life, museums, films, theaters. Those values, of course, I'm speaking about the values of representative democracy. Actually, there are forces of the world today that are questioning those values. And we think that it's vital, extremely vital for the world that we stand up for those values. So that is the basic objective of this think tank organization. We will promote this objective in a specific way, namely by bringing together young people with powerful decision makers. With young people, we mean Europeans in the age span of 18 to 24, from various backgrounds in different European countries. By powerful decision makers, well, we mean people like these dear reference group members and others. So the organization will once a year invite young people to Gothenburg for a conference. Some 30 young people, well spread out from Europe. They will be given the task of discussing democracy and the values of the open society, and to define specific critical issues that the organization then will work with during the coming year. A first such conference will be organized this fall, this November. This will, in this very building, in collaboration with the so-called Kvalitetsmässan, which is Europe's largest fair for development of public activities. So, in parallel to that gathering, we will have the first youth conference. It will be sponsored by the city of Gothenburg, by Region Västra Götaland, and by the EU Commission's Swedish representation. So, just a couple of weeks ago, we sent round and distributed an open invitation to youth in Europe. And already today, I'm happy to say that 17 young people from 11 different countries of Europe have already sent in their motivational letters, trying to make the best argument why we should choose them for the conference. They will come to Gothenburg, we will pay the tickets, we will pay the meals and lodging in this hotel, and we will let them meet powerful people to discuss the future. That conference will be ended on the Thursday of November 14th, when the Kvalitetsmässan fair has its grand closure. The youth will have a 15-minute statement telling us what they think are the most pressing issues for the future. And they will have comments for it from people of the reference group. So that will embody the initiative, bringing together youth with powerful decision makers. I will only say a few more things, but then leave the word to the reference group members. We couldn't be here today if it hadn't been because of two important organizations. One of them is the Global Business Gate, which is a project facilitating international business in Gothenburg. That project likes our project, so we have been granted a planning grant, making it possible for us to start the planning of this organization. The other organization is the Royal Academy of Arts and Sciences in Gothenburg, a very old, renowned Royal Academy, who thinks that this project is a great initiative and who is hosting the project now, because we will not be our own organization until 2021, when Gothenburg celebrates its 400th anniversary. So meanwhile, this Royal Academy are hosting the project. So great many thanks to those two organizations, and of course to the Kvalitetsmässan and the Gothia Towers for hosting this press conference. Those were my first starting brief remarks, and I will now give the word to the reference group members and welcoming Rainer Müntz, who is a policy advisor on migration policy for the European Commission. But likewise, as the other members of the reference group, he is here not to represent the European Commission, but to represent his own experiences from doing different important things during his professional life. So with these starting words, please have your reflections, and I have asked these 5 wonderful persons to think about why would I engage in this, what are my views of this project, and what are my expectations of what could come out of this project. So, do you want to start, Dennis?
Thank you. Well, to begin with, I met with Urban half a year ago, and he came to me to discuss this project, and I realized that this is what we are going to do. This is what we are planning to do. But I also realized that Urban was maybe 2 years ahead of us in planning. So why invent something that was all more or less already on the way to go? So you didn't use that.
I know, but
your voice is better than mine. That is what you're saying. Okay. So when I was asked to join this group, I immediately said yes, because this is an excellent project that I believe is very similar to the Gothia Cup idea to gather young people from different countries to come together and learn from each other. In this case, it's from a meeting room, conference room. We are using a football pitch instead, but I think that the aim and the outcome of such meetings are more or less the same. We fight on a football pitch, and they will have discussions in a conference room, but it's also outside the pitch and the conference room that magic things are happening when young people from different countries come together. And I believe this is a project well deserved to encourage and to join and to support. I think that we will, in a couple of years, this will grow, because this is a good idea. And I'm happy to be one of the team. So looking forward to this first conference in November, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I'm very happy that you took this initiative, Urban, because this is a crucial thing, I think, for the future and the democracy and the anti-democracy growing in the world. I have had so many years, I have the privilege of working with students. And students all over the world, I would say, they complain because they don't reach the decision making. They are not involved in all these rectors' meetings and all others. They get the final documents to read, but they are the coming decision makers. They are those who are going to reform our world. And there is such a big interest, and we should not forget that many of these anti-revolution things have started with the universities. So if this could be the start of gaining and getting these young people together in a smaller context from the beginning, together with decision makers, I think that that will be a role model for doing this around the world and can open up for paying for these young people to come to these types of meeting. They don't have the money themselves. So I'm very optimistic, and I think that this could be a model for the future.
Thank you.
Morning. I'm also very happy to be here this morning. The idea of this project actually grew out of a great frustration. We saw anti-democratic forces around the world, threat to multilateralism, international organizations, the common values being threatened, but also inside the European Union. You saw the Brexit movement, you saw some of the, actually inside the European Union in governments who were questioning the very foundations of the European cooperation, rule of law, freedom of press, freedom of association, and so on. And at the same time, there was this strong, not organized, but strong feeling among young people that this is wrong, we need to change it. And I've spent 30 years meeting a lot of people, first in my academic career, but also in political careers, always trying to reach out to universities or high schools and talking to these people, and listening to them, and seeing that the need to gap that bridge between young, enthusiastic, very knowledgeable young people who are struggling to find ways to enter the more establishment and to channel their views, their ideas, their visions for the future. And that's where I think this think tank, this conference, starting with them, can really be groundbreaking in that regard. And I'm really happy that so many people still very early in the process have responded to the call for the conference. And I think we can create something really good here, in complementary to other forces around Europe and in the world today. This is truly needed, so I'm looking very much forward to work with this. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Urban for taking initiative, inviting us, but most of all for having the idea of working with young people, helping them to find a way. And Urban said at the beginning that we are not here because of our positions, that we are here as personalities. And if I think about my formative years, I think that the most important event was when I was at Lanseras Square, occupied by Soviet army, Russian tanks, pointing at people with machine guns. But what was worse were the years afterwards, 20 gray years of normalization, when people were losing respect for themselves. And I don't want my students, my children, grandchildren, to experience the same. And then I think we are here to assist, to share our experiences, to find the way or to help and to learn from young people as well. But Urban, you said there are some gloomy things, but I was pleased yesterday when watching the rally in Prague, where 2,500 people gathered to say we want democracy and rule of law. And I was also happy with the outcome of the elections in Istanbul. So I think that there were two positive events. And the last note, that November 17th is the International Students' Day, which is reminding the death of Czech student in 1939 who was shot to death protesting against German occupation. So I hope there will be only positive anniversary and that we will be able to overcome. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I was dragged to the project by Cecilia, who gave me a call and said, sent an email, why don't you come down? And my office is just a few meters away from us. It was an easy thing to do without any, major barriers. I think there are two important things. The one is young people have a huge potential, and today, too often we think they should then look towards the Silicon Valley and have a career like the Google founders or the things. But there's more issues in life than just making money and creating a new platform. And I think some of this potential could very well be channeled towards burning issues, where you can also use a platform maybe for a solution, but where the first thing is not the question, how do I become a billionaire within 10 years or something like that. Yeah? I mean, I'm happy to see more of these platforms in Europe. In Sweden, with Spotify is one of the few places in Europe where we have that kind of potential. But I think there is other things in life that needs to be explored. And so I think it would be great if out of this initiative we could see the future founders of solutions, platforms, companies, networks, whatever solutions towards burning issues that cater to the common good, for example, in Europe, and not just to making money. I'm not against making money, on the contrary, but I think the potential of these young people could also be employed in other areas, and it should. And if this is a first step towards it, I would most welcome it. I'm happy to help with it. Robert, thanks a lot.
So thank you very much, everybody, and I just want to add that we have additional members of this reference group who couldn't attend in person today, and in the afternoon we will have meeting with this reference group. And I just want to say a few words. One of the members which I spoke to the other day was saying, well, the different things about young people is that they are posing some questions that we as adults would never pose. So that is one thing. And the other thing this person was saying, well, the young people, they also tend to try to reinvent the wheel. So they come to us and say, well, great enthusiasm, why don't we do this? And then we are saying, well, we have already done something similar. And this is an important contrast because, well, things needs to be done a little bit differently. Democracy and the open society have been institutionalized in some ways during the 20th century. Now we're living in new times, and we need to remodel a little bit how we make this great open society and this great democracy to come through. And that's why I think the youth would help us to a little bit reinvent some of the wheels to make them spin for the future also. So this said, I want to bring in those reflections from a couple of others of the reference group members. So thank you, all of you here, and thank you for coming. If you have any questions or comments from you who are present here today.
I have one question. Of course, a lot of young people are very committed. Yes. Okay. Young people are often very committed, but there are quite a lot of young people who are not, who don't really feel as part of the society. How do you reach those young people?
I don't think that we reach them in the first case, but I think if we can have the people who are coming to these meetings also having the views and also told to be out in the society, to engage other people where they live, I think that that's the next step. If we try to get all from the beginning, I don't think that we can do that. It's difficult always to find the young people to invite and to open up. And this is a way anyhow to open up for their own application. So it's nice. But I think that the next step has to be that we bring this up in our discussions, and also the discussions with the young people coming to these meetings, that they have a responsibility also for those not being there.
Something, it's only about the tipping point. Greta Thunberg started this Friday for Future movement, and she has dragged many young people who probably have been apolitical, or at least had an idea about the future but didn't know how to address their worries. And she has served as a role model, and now you have tens of thousands of people taking into the streets every Friday. So that's just an example how you can create something. Or you might have heard about this retro video, and a YouTuber who usually talks about fashion and where to travel next, and what kind of car would be sexy or not, has influenced by that Friday of Future movement, looked into scientific evidence about global warming, created a video accusing the governing Christian and Social Democrats in Germany of not doing enough. And 15 million people have clicked onto a video, despite the fact it's 50 minutes long, which is way above the normal attention span of the younger generation. I mean, usually, if it's not a Netflix or Amazon series, they don't look videos that are 50 minutes long. So I don't know how many people have clicked it, viewed it to the end, but I mean 15 million people out of a population of 82 million people living in Germany. That's quite something. So I think these are two examples where you can see occasionally you can make a difference as a young person if you just get in at the right moment with a good idea. You need maybe 100 of these good ideas in order to have 2 or 3 that really fly like that. And so hopefully it will emerge out of that.
Well, when Cecilia and I started to discuss this project a couple of years ago, we were quite convinced that we must have the objective to reach out also to those individuals who wouldn't be the typical ones who activate themselves. So to make the best out of that objective from the start, we have, for instance, asked Dennis in Gothia Cup and Partille Cup and the Basket Festival and El Sistema side by side, because they have networks of dedicated people in different parts of Europe. We have asked them to spread and share the conference invitation. So we're hoping that that is one strategy that will help us to reach people who wouldn't be reachable through other means. Another example, take the Swedish organization Fryshuset, which organizes important events and supports young people in the suburbs. We have asked Fryshuset in the same way, wouldn't you share the conference invitation among your young people? And they are very happy to do that. So this is one way that we are trying to reach out by the help of other established organizations, also to those youth who wouldn't be the typical ones being attentive to such an invitation as this. Any more questions, comments? Well, thank you, Lenka, Rainer, Cecilia, Pam, and Dennis, and thank you for coming to the press conference this morning.